that experience can either enlighten you, or I think it could be kind of crippling in a sense, because I felt like after that experience with my grandpa, I didn't want to make close friends or have close relationship, because it's a fear that like, they can go past, or I can leave them, right? It became very scary.
So it's almost like a defense mechanism, right?
Yeah.
Because the loss of somebody you love so much, in order to protect yourself from that pain, you pretty much put up walls. It's kind of like, well, if I don't love somebody, then I can't feel the
can't
pain.
hurt them, and they can't hurt me.
Right.
Hi, welcome to the Magnetic Mismatch Show.
Happy October, everybody. And this is Will, by the way. Hope you guys are all doing well. And it's technically fall now, right?
Yeah.
Or have we been in fall already?
It doesn't feel like that.
It's crazy how
still
fast.
Hot.
Yeah, fast time has flown this year.
Still like 108 degrees right now.
Seriously. We walked outside, opened the door for a little bit. It's like, nope, coming right back in. Yeah. Yeah, it's been nuts. But you've been having fun this weekend, though, with our new toy.
Yeah. So we bought this vacuum cleaner / mop 2-in-1. And it's been commanding me on how to, it's like a smart appliance. So it tells you what to do, like when to slow down. If the floor is dirty, it starts blinking red. If there's too much dirt on the roller, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty smart.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying too when you're cleaning it, right? Like, like you said, when it's dirty, it's red on the light, and then it turns blue as it gets clean. So it's like, oh, yes.
Yeah, and it self-cleans and everything.
Yeah. But like, it's so funny because I was thinking about, man, this is what we get excited about now. It's like, is that what it's like growing up? You get excited about a new vacuum?
That's not true. I got excited when they have when they had sugar pumpkins at the market.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's that time of year.
For some pumpkin spice latte.
That's one of our favorite drinks. It's kind of almost like a tradition for us, every year.
Yeah.
Like we usually go to Starbucks not Starbucks.
No, we don't go to Starbucks.
Not
we go
really
to
Starbucks.
Like those little local,
like mom and pop places that
coffee shops
do the pumpkin spice lattes.
But I like it when they actually do like an actual like pumpkin puree versus just the
they use
syrup.
a real pumpkin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now with the quarantine situation, I guess we're gonna make that. Yeah.
Attempt. You'll see it on Instagram.
You're gonna put a little disclaimer on there. I'm gonna try.
I'll show it on Instagram if it's a success.
If it's good or not.
Yeah.
It seems pretty simple, but
yeah.
I don't know. It always seems simple.
You say that about everything, but the only one attempting it is me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, don't worry. It's simple.
Everything is simple.
You got this. I'm like just behind the scenes, like, yeah, you got this. It looks so simple. You're fine. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm not the one actually making it.
No, at all.
I get to try it though. That's an important role too.
You don't have to try it.
What? You got to share the love, all right? That's our tradition.
Okay, fine.
But on a more serious note, today's topic's actually one that kind of just came up, I think, more recently, huh? Mm-hmm. Like it's a little spontaneous, but I think it's a pretty important topic too. So look at my tone. I'm like changing to be more serious right now. It's like it is a pretty serious topic. So the topic is, what does talking about death? What does talking about why does talking about death make us feel uncomfortable? See, I was already getting uncomfortable just even bringing up the title. Yeah.
I think this topic came up not out of the blues, but we have some people that we know in our lives that they're one of their family members or friends passed away, and we saw on either social media or we personally heard about it, and it's just this very like sensitive, delicate topic that it's very hard to talk about. Right? It's like you don't know. It's hard because you don't know what's the right thing to say to the person. because no matter what you do or say doesn't make them feel better, right? And
Yeah.
it's one of those topics where I'm just naturally uncomfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people tend to, as soon as you bring up the word death or, the topic of somebody passing away,
You just
people,
want to change the topic,
yeah, people want to
right?
dodge the topic or say, no, 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 no. Like my mom would always, like, every time we would like just bring it up, even in a casual conversation,
Mhm.
like in the movie, so and so died. And then she's like,
Mhm.
no, don't talk about death. It's kind of like very taboo, right?
Yeah.
Um, it made us think about, like, well, why is that? What makes us so uncomfortable about it? Because it's not like uh we don't see that it's going to happen to all of us, right? That it's a part of life.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where it's scary because death, what happens after death is such an unknown to everybody.
It's the ultimate unknown.
You don't know what happens to that person, and it makes you kind of uncomfortable when you don't know what's going to happen, and
It
it's scary.
Yeah, like it's like a lot of things, right? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the outcome is, and you feel like you lose control. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And anytime you feel that way, you get scared
Yeah. And it's not one of those things where, if you're fortunate enough, it's not going to happen, you're not going to experience that
until later in life,
until
usually.
later in
Yeah.
life or, frequently, right?
Right.
It's like one of those things where I hope, that you only experience it
A limited time.
limited time in your lifetime.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I experienced, someone passing away was the first time ever was my grandpa, someone really close to me, and I remember, just feeling like I want to just shut out the world, not talk to anybody about it.
Well, you and your grandpa were very close too.
Yeah, we were close.
You had a good
We had a
relationship.
good relationship. I mean, he lived far. He lives in another state, so it's all. I guess a part of me felt guilt that I didn't spend more time with him.
Mm.
Right. So when he passed away, it was like, I almost felt guilty that, because I was always busy with school and, my mom would always try to accommodate my schedule. So I kind of felt guilt that, because of me, she didn't get to spend as much time with him as well. So, a part of me felt guilt for not spending more time with him. Um, and then, a part of me was scared, right? And then a part of me was sad because I saw, how it impacted my mom.
Yeah.
And the family because they're very close. So the first time to lose somebody was kind of traumatizing, and I felt almost paralyzed.
And how old were you at that
I
time?
was in first year in college.
First year in college. So you're what, like 18 or something?
18, 19,
Still a kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember I was enrolled, I think it was in summer session. And I think that happened probably 3 weeks into my summer session.
Damn.
Yeah, and I dropped out of that semester.
Wow. Did you really?
Yeah, and I stayed in my
You're
yeah.
very academic too. So
I
it's kind of like,
know.
whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
That shows the level of impact, obviously, that it had on you.
Hmm. And I stayed at his house for probably 2 months. Yeah.
So you went out to Florida to be in the house and kind of be there at that time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I stayed there for the entire summer.
What was that like to make, how, obviously when you're close with somebody, it's somebody you care about a lot, and obviously that's the ultimate worst thing that can happen, right? You lose that person, and you found out the news, and what was your initial reaction, like, that caused you to just say, I'm dropping everything and I'm just gonna go and be in Florida to be near him?
You know, I don't remember exactly what I just, but it was just like a traumatizing, paralyzing experience. I just because his death was kind of unexpected.
Oh, okay.
I didn't expect that to happen.
Was he like in good health like prior?
Well,
or was
he was going through surgery, but
okay.
He went to one of the best hospitals out there to have that surgery.
Right.
We didn't expect
anything.
Not to wake up.
Yeah.
So that was...
It caught everybody off guard.
It caught everyone off guard because our plans were all of us to, go out there and see him after and take care of him after the surgery. Like there's a family trip planned.
Right. It's like it's a routine, or not routine, but
it's not a routine.
It's a surgery that,
yeah, it's not a routine surgery, but still, like, we didn't expect, the outcome to be this, right?
Right.
And I don't think the family was prepared. None of us was mentally prepared for that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like the surgery, and then, we didn't hear any bad news, and then suddenly he declined, and then it just all happened so fast.
You couldn't even react.
I couldn't even grasp that moment.
Right.
And when you're so young and that's the first time you experience someone close to you passing away.
It's like you don't even know what to do with your feelings, right?
Yeah, I didn't know what to do with my feelings. And then I felt guilt because I'm like, oh, why didn't I see him more often?
Spend more time.
And then it made me, reflect, like, it's going to school like morning and night and work. Is this all worth it? Right? It's like, I kind of started resenting that too.
Oh.
And then, I also reflected. It's like I kind of felt like he had like almost like in a way I wish he saw that that I was somebody right before he passed away.
That you made something
out
yourself.
Of myself, yeah.
Because your grandfather, and this was on your mom's side, your mom's dad, basically, he was kind of one of the people that kind of paved the road for you guys too, in a way, right?
Absolutely.
Coming to this country and kind of set things up to give you guys better opportunities, or your parents, right? And then that trickled down. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here today. So he's pretty important in terms of impact, and you wanted to kind of almost like let him know that, hey, it was worth it, what you sacrificed, what you did, kind of thing. Is that?
Yeah. And with him, every time I visit is such a good experience, right? Such a positive experience. And it's sad that, like, I just felt sad that I didn't get another opportunity.
Yeah. And I bet, like, at that time when he was still around and you guys were visiting and things like that, as even though you enjoyed the experience and appreciated it at that time, I think it's harder because you might not have thought about it in the way of, well, he'll be gone someday, right? Or
no, never.
Never. That could be a possibility.
As a kid,
it's weird.
It's always like, oh, we'll have this opportunity again, right? He's gonna take me to Disney World again.
Yeah, it's that's the part I always find fascinating. It's kind of like, we all know, even at a young age, I think we learn about that there's life and then there's death, right? At some point. But because you're so young, like when you're a teenager or even in like your early young adult age, like in your 18 or whatever, right, 20s, that even though it's there, something, I don't know if it's just our brain trying to protect ourselves from that fear, but we kind of push it right all the way down. Because we know it's there.
Yeah, because when you're young, you think you're invincible, right?
It feels like it.
Or it feels like it.
Or
you feel like you have
you have infinite amounts of time.
Life ahead of you. Yeah.
But and sometimes when you're thinking about it from that perspective, it's like you think of it from your own eyes, but then I think you fail to realize too, as you get older, the people around you aren't at the same age, right? The people that you love, like your parents, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles and whatever, right? They're a lot older. They're a lot further in life. And when you're younger, you don't think about, well, what if they're gone?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something I think we're also taught to know how to deal with, right? When someone passes, or like how to talk about death.
Yeah.
Usually like it's one of those things parents try to shield their kids from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, rightfully so to a certain level. I don't know. I guess I don't know how to kind of look at it from a parent's perspective, because I'm not a parent yet.
Yeah. I think it's just a scary topic for them to think about themselves, right?
Yeah.
Because
their own mortality.
Yeah, their own mortality. And they're like, what if I leave my kids behind? Who's going to take care of my kids? So it's something that they don't think about frequently, I'm pretty sure.
Right. I mean, who the hell sits around like dinner table, right, and talks
It's
about...
not like a table topic, right?
All right, yeah. All right, kids, let me teach you about death. Mommy and daddy, it's like, that would be very awkward.
Yeah. I mean, the only
I'm sure there's a better way of approaching it.
I think,
but still.
as when I was younger, like, there were occasions where, my mom did bring it up in a lighthearted way, right? Like, she told me a story about a little boy who was very bad, and his mom would give him a spanking. And I mean, not that I got spanked or anything, but it's just a story. It's just
yeah.
So don't call Child Protective Services on us now.
It's the old school way of teaching.
It's just, a little tale. So this little boy got spanked every day because he's bad. He does something bad. He never cries with any of the spanking. And then this one day, his mom spanked him for doing something bad. And then he just starts bursting into tears. And then the mom's like, wait, you never cry when I spank you. Why are you crying now? And he's like, oh, it's because your spanking got weaker.
Aww.
Aww, I know.
Wow. So he understood that his mom was
getting old
and life was changing or different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, it's a societal thing too. And then I think a lot of, every culture handles that topic of death differently. But I think especially out here in the West, like, it is a taboo topic, like it's not something that most people openly talk about, or even when it happens. I know that when we were younger, when relatives passed or somebody close passed away, it was very interesting because they wouldn't let us go to the funerals. They would go, and I would see them like dressed in like black, right? And you kind of learn through like over time, like why are they, dressed up and what happened kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they wouldn't let us go to those ceremonies or whatever, which was odd. But as you get older, then it's like, I don't know if it was like an age thing. Like we were pretty young, like 7 or 8 or something like that,
Yeah.
So, but it's not like we were oblivious to what was happening. Like we knew somebody passed or something,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it's a topic that nobody really wants to talk about, but it's crazy because it is a part of life. And I think when we're scared of, accepting maybe that it's a reality, we kind of, it carries on and it trickles into other parts of our life too, and how maybe we live our life, right, while we're still here. Mm-hmm. Don't you think?
Yeah. I think that experience can either enlighten you, or I think it could be kind of crippling in a sense, because I felt like after that experience with my grandpa, I didn't want to make close friends or have close relationship, because it's a fear that, like, they can go past, or I can leave them, right? It became very scary.
So it's almost like a defense mechanism, right?
Yeah.
Because the loss of somebody you love so much, in order to protect yourself from that pain, you pretty much put up walls. It's kind of like, well, if I don't love somebody, then I can't feel the pain.
Hurt them, and they can't hurt me.
Right. I can't feel the pain of losing them or them losing me. And they, I have put them in through pain, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it, right?
But I think it took, years of healing and accepting the fact that that's life, that I think, changed my perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like now I am more open to
letting people in,
and letting people, being closer to people.
Because what I noticed too is like the people that love the hardest, right? Because you are a very loving person when people get to know you, when you give them a chance to love you, right?
Yeah.
But then it's kind of like people like that, you and I are very similar in that regard. It's like if we love somebody a lot, we kind of go all in almost, right?
Yeah.
But then we get hurt just as deeply on the opposite side. And I think that's what's scary. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like we don't want to experience that pain because we know it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
You can't avoid it. Nobody can. You can't avoid death.
Yeah. So like so yesterday Will and I watched a movie called Benjamin Button.
Yeah, the
And
curious case.
The
The curious
Curious
case
Case
of
of
Benjamin
Benjamin
Button.
Button.
It's an
So
older movie
it's an older movie. So basically it's
starring Brad Pitt.
yeah, it's
and
starting it's basically
Kate
based
Blanchett.
on a character who instead of aging forward, he's aging backwards. So he starts off life as an old man and then
Like an old baby.
an old baby. And the interesting thing is that he was living at a senior living facility at a young age. So he was he experienced people passing a lot, and it almost became like a norm to him.
Right.
And you know, it was just like nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, in the movie he said he became very comfortable with death because it was
Yeah.
happening all around him. It became like a normal thing.
Yeah, until he met this one character who he couldn't remember her name, but made the greatest impact on his life. So basically, she taught him about death, right? And she told him, Benjamin, that's the name of the character.
Well, because he asked her, like, because he was feeling sad, right? Because he was seeing all those people die.
Yeah.
And then he was like, he was saying like something about like why do people pass away or something like that.
Yeah, and she said, Benjamin, we're meant to lose the people we love. How else would we know how important they are to us? Right.
Yeah.
And I think that really struck a chord when I saw that clip. I'm like, wow, that's right. You know, things are special because we only have a limited time with them. Or certain people are special. Because if they were around forever and we were around forever and we knew that,
yeah,
and you couldn't die and you're immortal, then they're not as special because, you know, a tomorrow always exists. The next hour always exists, right? There's, you know, no matter what you do, they'll always be there.
Right.
But when it's not the case, then
there's more value to it, I think, right?
Yeah, and you'll do the best you can to make the moments you have with them that much more special.
Right. I think that was kind of one of the messages in the movie, and it really hit us hard on that because it made us think about that. It's like, oh wow, that's so true. Because sometimes, like, you know, when we're just living our lives and stuff, you don't really think about it. You don't think that, hey, at some point, like at least it's not all the time where you remind yourself like, hey, this person could be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. And we kind of just live without thinking about that, cherishing it, you know?
Yeah. So it's just a reminder, you know, like no matter what you're doing in your life, always make time for the people you love because they're not always going to be there. And when you do spend that time, make it quality time.
Yeah.
Because you may not get that moment back.
Right. Yeah, I think that's pretty important. Something we've kind of learned as we've gotten older. I think it's something that you think more about as you get older. Not that we're like, you know, 80 years old or anything right now.
Yeah.
But I think you hit a point in your life where you kind of realize I'm not invincible. You know,
No.
You kind of acknowledge, I think, your own mortality that, hey, there is an end date to this. But the tricky part is you don't know when that end date is.
Yeah.
And the only thing that you know for sure is that this very moment, you're breathing, you're alive, right? The people around you, this is the reality.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like we have that decision every day, like how we decide to spend that time, right? And we could wallow, we could be depressed and feel sorry for ourselves or about the circumstances, or we can really just take charge and kind of go after too what we want, you know, or spend the time with the people that we choose to versus like, well, this is just who's around me kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of what my takeaway was.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's interesting because, you know, this character, lives life backwards as an old man, and then he gets young to a baby. But if you think about the human cycle, it's almost the normal cycle going forward. It's almost the same. You start out as a baby, and then you hit your peak, and depending on your health and
Let's say somebody normal health.
yeah, like a good, if your health, it's almost like
You
a
have
bell
your
curve.
prime. Yeah.
Your prime, and then you decline, and then to the end, and when you get to a certain point, you'll need help, assistance to care for, because by then you may or may not be able to take care of yourself anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Your body is
deteriorating.
right.
And so if you think about, no matter if you go life forward or backwards, you only have your like a good
A beginning and an end. Yeah.
Yeah, and a prime time, right? And I think knowing that you have a finite amount of time makes you think, and almost gives you courage to go after what you want, because your time on this earth is so short.
Yeah.
And then as you see, people you care about pass away, you the hardest part is that, yes, you do face your own mortality. And I ask myself, like, if I'm on my deathbed, do I want to regret anything, or would that pain be too unbearable to carry with me to wherever I'm going, or do I want to leave with a bang and feel like, hey, I kicked ass on this earth?
Yeah. And that you left behind a lasting impact.
Yeah.
Or the people that you care about, that that they're going to be fine after you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think that gives you kind of like peace of mind, and almost like acceptance, right?
Yeah.
That, hey, I lived the life the way that I wanted to.
Exactly. And I want to feel like I lived the life that I wanted to. I kicked ass on this earth, and I made an impact, and I bettered the people around me, and I left a lasting impact on this world.
Yeah.
I made it better. It's better because I was here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is, more of a morbid topic. It's something that's definitely um harder to talk about.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it forces, anytime you think about death, or you have something happen in your life to somebody that you care about, it forces you to think about your own mortality. It forces you to think about your life, and maybe even like how you've spent your time up to this point. Almost kind of like, well, what have I done up to this point? Am I proud of, how I've lived? Am I proud of what I've accomplished? That's important to me. And that doesn't mean you have to go out and like, become the next Bill Gates or whatever, like to make a great invention or anything. But are you proud of, for you, right? Whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah, it has to be your journey.
It has to be genuine.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's kind of like not comparing yourself to anybody else, but it's kind of like, be honest with yourself. And it's really like asking yourself, have I lived life so far the way that I want to? And if today was the end, today was the last day, would I be okay with that?
Yeah.
And then it can either, I mean, hopefully it can give you some perspective, because I know that can, like, just more recent events happening, it kind of triggered me to think about that too. It's like, I want to use this as motivation. You're right. It gives you perspective that we don't have forever, even though it can feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
We forget that there is a limited amount of time, and it forces you to work with more urgency towards your goals or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And then it makes you rethink your actions too. Like, have I been kind to the people that I've interacted with? Right? Are there any unresolved issues that, we can just let bygone and not carry that with us, that burden? And I think it just makes you approach life in a different way.
How would you describe that? Like what would you, knowing what you know now, kind of dealing with having lost loved ones and all that, what do you feel like would be changed going forward? What would your attitude be
I think going
for
forward,
you? Yeah.
yeah, for me, ever since that incident, um, I don't take it for granted, like the moments I get to spend with my family and my friends, right? I always make an effort to see them more or as much as I can, and undistracted, like undivided attention. Like I'm not gonna be stuck glued to my phone or watch YouTube when I'm hanging out with them. That and I don't I don't end a conversation upset at them. I don't let little things bother me anymore because I don't know if that's the last interaction we'll have or not. Like I want it to be a positive experience, and also I'm very mindful on how I treat people. Like I try to be as kind as possible and as empathetic as possible when I interact with people, right? And I think also it's also helped me be less afraid of going after what I want to go after.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
When you know that there's, like you said, a limited amount of time, and once you pass a certain point, it gets harder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To get, what's important to you, to really, really devote yourself to something.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be. No, that's awesome. I think it took you a while, especially because I know that when we've talked about subjects like this in the past, it was very difficult for you to kind of open up.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to pry too much, kind of respect somebody's space. And it took you a while before you kind of told me a little bit more about your relationship with your grandpa, right? And all that. But I'm glad you did, because
but it's baby steps, right?
Exactly. That's what I mean. It didn't happen like a switch, right?
No.
Like one day you just, hey, let me tell you about, this relationship, right?
Yeah. And even till this day, yeah, I don't know. It's still an uncomfortable topic for me. But I mean, I've always obviously got some lessons out of it.
Yeah.
But it's still very difficult.
Of course. And I don't think that's ever going to be easy.
No.
But I think it gets easier over time to open up a little bit more. Little steps, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final words? I mean, I guess like for us, that's hopefully, if anything, obviously, I think why this is relevant is because, with the COVID situation happening, there's unfortunately this year, there's been a lot of death, right? There's a lot of people that have lost loved ones, people that have been through a lot of pain, a lot of families.
And it's very unexpected.
It's very unexpected. It's also very difficult even to get closure because, people that lose loved ones, they can't really say goodbye, right? In the normal sense, they can't go through the normal process of coping with their feelings and their emotions, And I can't even imagine like how difficult that must be right now. But I think, obviously we're not experts in dealing with grief or coping with that death. It was just a topic that we felt was important to talk about and bring up. Obviously refer to an expert if you need help in that, if you're dealing with something like that, a loss of a loved one, because that's, you don't realize how big of an impact and how deeply it might impact you, even if you might not show that emotion up front, or, you know what I mean? Like some people, they just go about life after losing a loved one, like as if nothing happened. Everybody copes differently.
That could be their defense mechanism to protect themselves.
But it doesn't mean it's solving anything, right?
Yeah, it's good to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
I wish I did talk to somebody, and tell them how I felt,
right?
Instead of bottling that up for years and letting that impact my life and how I interact with other people, or loved ones, pushing them away. I could have spent those years having a more meaningful relationships with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, it's just like anything else. You feel so much better when you can release that tension from inside, whatever it is you're bottling up.
Yeah.
And who knows, somebody can help give you perspective, somebody that's been through it before, right? All that kind of stuff. But yeah, I hope this episode was helpful for you guys that are listening. Maybe, I don't know, to get through a tough time, or at the very least to acknowledge, take some lessons, because there's always lessons in life, even during adversity or painful experiences. And, kind of like what Linda was saying earlier, just trying to find a way to utilize that experience as a way to propel yourself to really live life the way that you want, and not take the people for granted that you have in life.
Yeah. And it's okay to feel scared, afraid, angry.
Feel through those emotions. They're natural.
And it's okay to ask for help and reach out to somebody if you need.
Yeah.
To help cope with that traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whew. That was a heavy topic today.
I know. That's not usually our normal topic.
No, it's not. But we felt like it was important enough. It was important enough to us because it had an impact on us. It opened our eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
And we felt like we wanted to share with our audience. And, we hope, like we said, if somebody can find something valuable from this, or it can help somebody through a rough time. That's kind of what we want. That's what our message is all about,
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening and tuning in. Please do like our episode on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed this. And
please share our content if you enjoyed it, or if you got a lesson out of it, or you think someone can benefit from our content. Please do share our content, and also tune in every Thursday. That's when we release new episodes.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.